Last semester, I applied for a research position in biology, something connected to my degree, something that will actually use the 4 years of coursework I'm paying $1,500 a month for. I sent 50 applications for 3 positions. Most of them never replied. Some of the listings asked for prior research experience. A few required a master's degree for basic research. The salary? About $18 an hour, roughly the same as my actual retail job. My retail job, I walked in, applied, waited, and got it. No degree, no portfolio, no references. The job that requires my degree pays the same as the job that doesn't. And the job that requires my degree also wants a master's degree I haven't gotten yet. So I'm spending $1,500 a month on a credential, working a job that doesn't need it, applying for jobs that needs more of it, and earning the same either way. That's the loop, and I wanted to understand who actually designed it. The first thing I learned is that some of those 50 applications may have been pointless before I even click submit, because up to 20% of job listings posted online are not real. They're called ghost jobs. Companies post them to appear like they're growing, to collect resumes for future openings, to make current employees feel like they're replaceable. There is no law against it, no regulation, no penalty, no requirement that a company actually disclose whether a position is actually open. Think about what that means for someone like me. Each application takes 30 minutes to an hour if you're tailoring your resume and writing a cover letter. 50 applications, roughly 25 to 50 hours of work. If even 10 of those listings were ghosts, I spent 5 to 10 hours applying for positions that were never going to be filled. And I'll never know which ones, because the system has no obligation to tell me. But ghost jobs only explain why some applications disappeared. They don't explain why the ones that were real still didn't reply. So I look at what happens between the moment I click submit and the moment a human being sees my resume. And this is where it gets structural. It's called an applicant-tracking system, ATS. It's the same reason most resumes never reach a person. Roughly 75% of resumes submitted to large companies are rejected by software before a human being ever sees them. Here is the absurd part. You could be the perfect candidate, but if your resume says manage social media instead of social media management, same skill, different phrasing, the machine can still reject you. One of my research applications listed laboratory techniques as a requirement. My resume says lab experience. Same thing, different words. I may have been filtered out by a keyword mismatch on a synonym. Companies know the rejection rate is this high. They know qualified candidates are being filtered out. But reviewing 25 resumes costs less than reviewing 100. The ATS hasn't been designed to find the best candidates. It has been designed to reduce the hiring team workload. You are not being evaluated, you're being filtered, and the filter measures format, not ability. But that raises the next question. If the filter rejects based on keywords and formatting, what happens when companies raises the credential bar too? This is the part that made me rethink my own education. It's called credential inflation. The same phenomenon that turned a high school diploma into a bachelor's requirement, a bachelor's into a master's requirement, and it happens without the work itself changing. Right now, 60% of IT help desk job postings require a bachelor's degree. Only 39% of people currently working that job have one. The degree is not needed for the work. It's a screening tool. When you have 300 applicants for one position, requiring a degree is the cheapest way to cut the stack in half. It doesn't measure ability. It measures who could afford to acquire the credential. And in biology, the inflation is extreme. The research position I applied for asked for a master's, and the salary was $38,000. That's barely above what I make in retail without a degree. The academic biology job market has been called Ponzi scheme by people inside it. An oversupply of PhDs, graduate students working 60 plus hours a week and earning $50,000 to $60,000. Publication luck determining careers, and an entire generation of researchers in what some call perpetual labor limbo. In my last video, I told you that medical school, the most expensive credential in America, produces a decade of negative income before salary arrives. This is the same pattern at every level. The credential costs more, the job pays the same, and nobody at the top of the pipeline tells you the math changed. And here is the part that should bother you the most. When companies like Apple, Google, IBM announced that they were dropping degree requirements, it made national news. Skill-based hiring. The credential era is ending. A 2024 Harvard study tracked what actually happened. Fewer than 1 in 700 applicants benefited from the change. The job policy changed on paper. The hiring didn't change in the interview room. It stayed closed in practice. So who benefit from the system? Not the applicant. You spend 25 to 50 hours applying. A machine filters you on format. The requirement demands credential the job doesn't need. And the skill revolution changed the job posting, not the hiring. Employers benefit three ways. Ghost jobs makes them look like they're growing to investors and boards. The ATS saves them money on HR costs. The credential inflation justifies paying entry-level salaries to meet career qualifications. The hiring system isn't broken. It's working perfectly as designed for them, not for you. And the people who can't afford the credential, who can't afford the unpaid internships, the masters, the research experience, the portfolio are filtered out before their ability is ever evaluated. My friends in computer science did unpaid research, presented posters at conferences, built portfolio, all while paying tuition and working part-time. They weren't learning how to code better than someone without those credentials. They were learning how to pass a filter that measures formats, not ability. The system doesn't evaluate talent. It evaluates who could afford to look like talent. So what do? Because the system isn't going to reform itself by the time you need a job. First, copy the keywords from the job posting onto your resume. Not to lie, to translate your experience into the language the ATS is scanning for. Laboratory techniques and lab experience are the same skills. The machine doesn't know that. You do. Second, apply even if you only meet 60% of the requirements. The requirement list is a wish list, not a checklist. Study shows that men typically apply 60% match. Women wait until 100%. Both are applying to the same wish list. Third, bypass the system. Referral accounts for roughly 7% of all applicants, but 30 to 50% of all hires. A referral skips the ATS entirely. I got my retail job by walking in and applying. No machine, no filter, no keywords. A human being looked at me in the eyes and decided. The system is designed to filter thousands of strangers. The strategy is to stop being a stranger. Don't be a stranger. This is not a motivational advice. This is a structural workaround. At the beginning of this video, I showed you two job listings. One required a bachelor's, preferred a master's. One paid $38,000 a year for research. The other required nothing and paid $18 an hour for retail. I got the retail job. I didn't get the research job. I'm not mad at any specific companies. This is what the channel is about. It's not about villains. It's about incentives. Ghost jobs shows companies are growing. The ATS saves time for HR departments. Credential inflations justify lower salaries. Skill-based hiring generate press releases but not actually hires. Each piece makes rational sense for the employers, and each piece makes it harder to navigate for the person that is standing outside it. I'm spending $1,500 a month for a biology degree. My retail job doesn't need it. The research job that needs it is also asking for the master's, and they both pay the same. My CS friend did unpaid research and presented posters. In my last video, I showed you that medical school costs $300,000 and produce a decade of debt before salary arrives. It's the same pattern at every level. The credential costs more, the filter gets tighter, and the job pays the same. And nobody at the top tells you the math changed. The system doesn't reject you because you're not qualified. It rejects you because you haven't purchased enough proof that you are. That's the receipt. I'll see you on the next one.